Good morning to one and all. This is DLN Sai Jishnu. I am from CSC Data Science B section. Today I'm gonna discuss about the concept video of programming language of C. The topic is difference between a source code and pseudocode. This is the topic I'm gonna discuss about in this PPT. These are the contents that you see. First of all, what is pseudocode? How pseudocode is written? What is the source code? How source code is written? And difference between them. First of all, what is source code? Source code is generally understood to mean programming statements that are created by a programmer with a text editor or a visual programming tool and then saved in a file. Object code general refers to the output, a compiled file, which is produced when the source code is compiled with a C compiler. This means source code is generally understood to mean programming statements that are created by a programmer with a text editor or a visual programming tool and then saved in a file. Object code generally refers to the output, a compiled file which is produced when the source code is compiled with a C compiler. This is the written code in C programming. This needs some syntax, some programming process, some flowchart. The source code need all these things. In this slide, we discussed how source code is, what is meant by source code. Then next in the slide, we are going to discuss about how source code is written. Programmers, how source code is written. Programmers typically write source code in text-based program like a word processor, then use as a compiler to translate into the format that computer program can read. When source code undergoes this translation, it becomes an object code. First, we will write some code in a compiler, means online programming compiler or anything, any app means in Turbo C plus, Turbo C. We'll write some code there. It needs a process, some syntax to write it. That is meant by a source code. When we write the code and executes it and compiles it, it converts into a computer understanding language, which is meant by binary code 0 ones and 1 zeros. Then the source code is not called as source code, it is called as an object code where it converts into the binary language. In this way, we write the source code in C programming. I hope you understand what is meant by a source code. Now we are gonna in next slide we are gonna discuss about what is meant by a pseudocode and how it's written, then the difference between them. The pseudocode in C is an informal way of writing a program for better human understanding. It is written in simple English, making the complex program easier to understand. Pseudocode cannot be compiled or interpreted. In simple words, it is known as an algorithm of a program. The pseudocode is C is informal way of writing a program for better human understanding. If the code is of 100 lines, we can't understand immediately how it works. But with the help of pseudocode, we can understand it step by step what they did. We can know the steps of it. It is written in simple English, making the complex program easier to understand. Pseudocode cannot be compiled or interpreted. This cannot be compiled or interpreted in any language. This is basically an algorithm. In simple words, or in another words, we can say that pseudocode is an informal way of programming description that does not require any strict programming language syntax or underlying technology considerations. It is used for creating an outline of or a rough draft of a program. Pseudocode summarizes a program flows but excludes underlying details. Basically, pseudocode does not require any language syntax. It is in simple words, we can say that it is for our use. It does not make any change in the C program or any change in compiling of code. It only for our understandings. This does not require any programming language syntax or underlying technology considerations. Like we could simply say that it is a commons of a program. Algorithm, a step-by-step explanation of a program is known as pseudocode. Pseudocode summarizes the program flows but excludes underlying details. This excludes underlying details. In previous slides, we have discussed about what is meant by source code, how source code is written, what is meant by pseudocode, and what is the main use of pseudocode, how pseudocode works. But now in this slide, we are gonna discuss about the difference between the source code and pseudocode. Source code is the actual code that can be compiled into an app and then executed by the machine. It requires some syntax, some procedure, some structure in it. But whereas pseudocode is just an algorithm of the program, it is shows how the code would look like when it is actually programmed. In this slide, we are gonna clearly explain about the difference between source code and pseudocode. Source code is a code we actually write in the program and compile in the app. It requires some procedure, some syntax, some structure in it. Pseudocode is just in the algorithm of the program. As we can said, it is easier to make to understand the things when we write a pseudocode in an actual code. It is how the code would look like when it is actually programmed. This is the one and only difference between pseudocode and source code. Thank you. Thank you for giving this golden opportunity. Hope you understand the PPT and hope you understand about the difference between pseudocode and source code. What is source code and pseudocode? And hope you liked it. Thank you.